Hello, and welcome back to Friday Vinyl Club, where every day feels like a Friday and every album tells a story. I'm Jamie, and each episode I invite a guest to bring along one special record, an album that didn't just play in their life, but helped shape it. This isn't about chart positions or critical reviews, it's about personal soundtracks, the records that stay with us long after the needle lifts. This episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Emma from London. Emma is the owner of the Instagram fan account It's a Little Bit Messy, dedicated to all things Olivia Dean. And this episode, Emma has chosen Olivia Dean's debut album, Messy, to bring to Friday Vinyl Club. Messy is a remarkable album, blending intimate storytelling with warm indie soulful vibes. But before we dive into the album and why this record matters to Emma, let's rewind a little. Emma, welcome to Friday Vinyl Club. How are you feeling today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk about everything.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about it too. It's going to be two Olivia Dean fans having a good chat about somebody we both love. So you are the person behind It's a Little Bit Messy on Instagram, the fan account. How did you get into that?
It was pretty random. I used to have fan accounts when I was younger, like in my early teenage years. I always felt like that was the age you would have those kind of accounts. So I always battled the thoughts of making one for Olivia because I just felt like I had grown out of having an Instagram account for someone. But it was after or during the Messy tour, I was like, no, I have to connect with people who also love her music. Because I felt like I was just talking to myself all the time about how much I love her music. I think my housemates at university were probably sick of me as well. So I made the account, and I guess more accounts over the years have popped up. So there's a massive community now. But yeah, I just made it because I wanted to connect with people essentially.
Yeah, you're right. There is a massive community now. My Instagram feed is full of different
Yeah.
accounts. And it is such a wonderful community to be part of as well, isn't it? I find this with many artists and many bands that Ollie, my son, and I like.
Yeah.
That the fan community is so warm and welcoming, and you're a huge part of that with your fan account.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, no, it's nice as well. And there are so many amazing accounts that have like their niche of why they post. Like the Olivia Dean Closet is a really cool account, or Olivia Dean Stats as well, where it posts like stats of streams and stuff and what songs from like older songs as well have hit crazy amount of streams. And I really have a niche, but I guess it's kind of fitting because my username is it's a little bit messy and the account is somewhat of a mess because I just post whatever I want, but that's kind of why I like it. I post a lot on my stories as well, like discussions and stuff, or just thoughts I have, because I just want to push them out there. Yeah, because I just literally love the music and love talking about it. So that's why it's perfect to have an account. And then you can interact with other people and just talk for ages about so many different things.
It is crazy, isn't it, how Olivia manages to get under your skin in some way, shape, or form. I know when I first was introduced to her in 2023 at the Manchester Academy gig for the Messi album launch, I would spend ages putting stories up, trying to tell people this amazing artist is out there. You have to listen to her. And I think that's where we probably connected.
Yeah, I lived with the same people throughout university, and they heard me for ages. Maybe at the start, me mentioning her a couple of times. Now they finally have tuned in, and they love it as well. So it's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's been so good to see that rise that she's had. And she's been working so hard at this for so many years. So we'll come on to Olivia. We've got lots to talk about,
Yes.
especially different perspectives. I'm looking at, I feel quite paternal. Ollie laughs at me. I feel quite paternal, like a proud dad looking at Olivia and
Yeah,
looking.
no.
It's so
I
strange.
yeah, I was like, I just kept looking around and I was like, who am I? Like looking around the crowd, like smiling, like I'm literally just a fan. But then I was like, no, I'm a proud stranger. Like it's amazing to see someone become so successful. But Yeah, she's actually just smashing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, multi-generational, and
Yeah.
that takes some doing. It really does.
Yeah, yeah, you have to be special for that to happen.
But on this podcast, we like to start right at the beginning, Emma, and we like to think about music as you were growing up. Do you remember your earliest music memory, and what the sound of the music was like in your house?
Yeah, I think my father, he's definitely more into music. Like most evenings, well, he'll be watching old reruns of Top of the Pops. Like he loves music. He was playing a lot of the Flaming Lips when I was growing up. I think one of my favorite songs was Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robot. And there's like a line about doing karate. And I remember all my siblings and I would love that when that would come on. And we would just be doing pretend karate in the living room and like laughing. The first album that feels key to me was when I was 5. When we started going on holiday to France, we would drive, and my dad would bring a couple CDs, and he would bring By the Way by Red Hot Chili Peppers, and we would play that, not joking, on repeat majority of the time. So I practically knew all the words or what I thought they were singing by, like, a very young age. So I think that album has stuck with me. It feels the most personal to me.
Hmm.
Um, but in terms of who I was listening to was mainly from my older siblings. They loved Busted, so I loved Busted,
Yeah,
and Robbie Williams was massive for me when I was younger. The albums came out a couple years before I was born, but my siblings were listening to it, therefore I was listening to it, and I just thought it was the coolest music I've ever heard. I thought it was so cool. I used to dance to it all the time. And JLS was pretty big for me when I was younger. That was the first CD I think I bought, their debut album, which I think it might be called JLS. Yeah, I think I loved the movie Thunderbirds, not the old one, but there was a modernized one in the
hmm
2000s, and Busted did Thunderbirds Ago for the soundtrack. And I used to think it was just the coolest thing ever. I was a bit of a tomboy growing up, so anything like Power Rangers, Thunderbirds, Spider-Man, I was obsessed with. So I think when they did a song for the soundtrack, I just used to listen to it and pretend I was one of the Thunderbirds or something.
fantastic. And with you, while you're listening to music with your siblings, are you sharing music, or did you all have your kind of own path?
I think we had a CD player in the living room and we just had a massive CD case. We would just play music and dance in the living room together. When we got older, I think my brother got more into like Slipknot and Avenged Sevenfold, so he was very separate listening to his music because I used to hear it and I couldn't fathom enjoying stuff like that. As I got older, I opened my eyes and appreciated the talent that goes into making music, like heavy metal music, but I think me and my sister shared a lot of our taste. I think I could probably say, um, I could thank her a lot for my teenage years. The band I listened to, the 1975, was like my favorite thing from my early teens. And she showed me them. So I think I looked up to her in some ways. I thought she was quite cool with her music taste.
Mm.
Uh, and she would act like she was showing me the holy grail. Like she was very big on sharing her music with me.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. Um, One of the really cool things in our house is that at a certain point in time, music stopped being a one-way thing with Ollie. So I was like, as he was growing up, I would share my music with him, and
Yeah.
then when he was about 13, it suddenly started coming the other way, where
Yeah.
he'd be like, "Dad, have a listen to this." Do you have that in your family where you were passing back to your parents or to your older sister and saying, "Here, listen to this"?
Yeah, I think maybe more with my parents. I think with my mum, she she loved George Michael and Tina Turner. They were her favorite artists. And I think now I loved showing her Olivia and I loved showing her Ray. She is a massive Ray fan now. And I think my dad mainly it happens. When we would drive in the car, he would have a CD on, or he would have now his phone playing music from Spotify. And he would tell me facts about these bands that he loved or stories about the songs, which is funnily enough, I'm a lot like that now. My best mate will always, when I meet her friends or she introduces me to people, she'll be like, she knows. She always like she knows so much about the music that she likes because I'm very much like my father in the way that if I'm playing a song for someone, I can't help but not open my mouth and tell them like a backstory about it or like a little fun anecdote that I've heard from listening or reading something. But I think more recently, I've shown my dad. I've been into Wolf Alice for quite a long time, and he's tuned in recently, and he really likes their new stuff. And I'll catch him listening to it. I'll be like, "Oh, that was because of me. I like that." And then older bands, he quite likes your classic like 80s, 90s like British bands or Scottish bands. But I asked him if he had ever heard of the Blue Nile. And he said he hadn't ever heard of them, and I was like, "Wow, they are so you should listen to them." And now he really likes them. So it's kind of cool in a way. Um, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is. And I treasure the fact that Ollie will come in and say, have you heard this? Or have you tried this?
Yeah.
Did your mum and dad listen to vinyl records or were they primarily CD?
I think my dad has got a bit of both. In our living room, we have a massive CD case, and I think he was telling me the other week that he bought. I can't remember what album it was, but he was in America a couple of years ago, and he was in a music shop and he found an album he loved, but on the track list was in a different order and there was like an extra song on it. And on streaming online and buying the album now, the version that's out to buy now, you can't find the one that he has.
Mhm.
He collects records as well, but he collects quite a random obscure ones. Like I was showing him my collection and I have Discogs, so I can see like the value of stuff. Not that that really matters to me, but I always find it cool to see like what maybe I picked up at the time and didn't realize it was going to end up becoming something valuable. And he got his record collection now, and I don't. He had like what's his name? Frank Sidebottom, the guy
All
who wears
right.
the paper mache head.
Yeah.
And he was like, "This is going to be really high value," and it was like £1.73 to buy. I was like,
Oh, bless.
he collects really niche. He collects really random things, but it's cool. I guess that's the best way to do it, right? You don't want to buy something for the sake of it. You want to collect things that mean the most to you. And gosh, I don't know how, but for some reason he really finds Frank Sidebottom not
Oh,
good. I don't think, but
well,
hilarious.
I mean, Frank Sidebottom is iconic to a certain generation, right?
Yeah.
He's incredible, but I can imagine maybe generations now looking back probably don't see it through the same through through the same lens that your dad probably does. Oh wow! So can you remember the first vinyl record you bought?
Yeah. I said previously that my sister got me into the 1975 when I was young.
Yeah.
Um, she's quite a few years older than me, and we were on holiday and we were waiting in the queue to go on a ride, and she had her iPod or her phone, and she played me one of their songs called Head Cars Bending, and I remember thinking this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. And from there on then I just listened to their whole discography. And when I was 15, I think they announced their very first market stall in Spitalfields Market. It was in November time. It was a record market, and their label Dirty Hit had a they were having their first ever stall put up there, and it had exclusive stuff, free goodies. Like if you spent £25, you got a bag full of like merch and stuff. So I remember being to my dad, "Please, can we go? Please, can we go?" And we went, and we went in the queue, and we got there, and I got some of their early EPs on clear vinyl, and got some 7-inch singles as well, of one of their songs called Milk, which was a repress. the first repress since 2013, and the one you could buy from 2013 was like going for hundreds of pounds. So I really wanted to get that. And they were the first records I bought. And I think from there on there, I just mainly bought their releases and then some other bands like the Japanese House, before I properly started collecting other people. But for a while, I was kind of in a 1975 bubble where I didn't really look out of it from like 2015 to 2017.
Wow. Was it, I guess 1975 then would between the JLS CD that you bought, which was you said the first one you bought,
Yeah.
was 1975 your first real kind of artist and band that you really deep dived into and started to follow?
I would say so. I think before that it was Taylor Swift when I was like 12, 13. When like Red came out and 1989 came out. I remember I was going on holiday to Poland the day 1989 dropped and she didn't put it on streaming. So I had to wait for the CD to deliver. But it wasn't going to turn up in time because we were leaving really early in the morning. And this sounds bad, but I managed to find like 2 of the tracks on YouTube. And I remember just like listening to them in the car on the way to the airport religiously. I was like, this is the only crumb I'm going to get before I come home. But she was the first ever concert I went to at Hyde Park in 2015 for British Summertime Festival. And that was like the first obsession I had, but it didn't last as long. I think when the 1975 came along, that kind of took the reins a bit. And yeah, I kind of realized at one point that there were so many artists I loved listening to, and I had seen them in concert so many times. I think I first saw the 1975 when I was like 14, maybe 15. And I look back and I'm like, I wish I just saw more people that I enjoyed at the time. Like Daniel Caesar, for example, is someone I enjoyed then as well.
So you've mentioned your first gig was Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Did your parents take you to that, or were you going with friends?
Yeah, so it was a Christmas present. Um, and I just remember being so shocked because I had never been to a concert before. And when I saw the tickets, I was so happy I was going to see her. And then after for the months, I was, like, kinda nervous because I had never been around so many people before. I was still young, and I was very small. I was like, "Will I be able to see? Like, are there gonna be loads of drunk people around me? Like, I'm gonna get scared?" I think I went to a school fair on the same day till, like, in the afternoon, and then we went. And, it was an amazing evening. When we got there, we couldn't see. My mum, she's quite savvy. She went and found someone and spoke to them, and she was like, "We were at a school fair all morning. It's my fault. Like, I was helping out. Like, is there anything you can do?" And people were so nice then. I don't know if this could happen at a Taylor Swift concert now, but he gave us these passes, these wristbands, to stand in. I think it must have been one of the front sections at British Summertime Festival for no extra cost. So then it was an amazing evening. She went out into the crowd on this, like, balcony thing that, like, raised up and went over the crowd, and she was so close to me at one point. I
Wow.
remember crying the whole evening. My sister got a video of me crying, and she likes to send it to me randomly sometimes. Just like me, like 14 years old with, like, face paint on my face, and I drew a Taylor Swift T-shirt, and I was just sobbing my eyes. But yeah, it's nice to have that video still because it just shows music's amazing.
And it's a wonderful memory. You know,
Yeah.
you'll look back on that over the years to come, and you know, it's moments like that that you'll treasure. They really are. So you've seen Taylor Swift. I shoot. Did you say you've seen the 1975 as well?
Yeah, they were the next concert I had, like, maybe like 6 months after. I saw them at Brixton Academy, which is also quite cool because obviously now they're huge, like headlining Glastonbury. So, like, seeing them in, like, a 5,000 capacity venue is quite cool. I think it was the first night of the tour. So I saw some of the songs from the second album, which is my favorite album of theirs, performed live for the first time. So that was quite cool. Um, and yeah, then I just kept seeing them live every time they played in London. I think I've seen them like 18 times now, which is just a bit crazy. But yeah.
That is incredible. I mean, repeat offenders, we call them. I absolutely love talking to repeat offenders who go again and again see the same band. I'm one of them. I do it with the bands that I love. And people say to me, how can you go see the same band so many times? And it's like, there's always something magical that happens. You know, they're never the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, I think the frontman of the 1975 as well, he loves to switch things up. Things are never set in place. So I think that's what made it special for that. And I also just think, like, I just saw Olivia Dean 4 times, one night after the other, and the final night was my favorite night, which just shows that doesn't matter if you go to the same thing every night running. If the final night was my favorite, it clearly doesn't actually get boring. And if you love live music, like the feeling you get when the person walks on stages, there's just no other feeling like it if that's what you love.
Mm.
And there's some artists I've seen, and I'll just see them every time because I like their music, but there are some artists where it's like, no, I have to see them again. Like, they are amazing.
So before we get into Olivia then, who else have you seen live?
Gosh, I live near Reading Festival, so when I was younger, I went quite a few times. I saw Kendrick Lamar during the Damn era. He headlined Reading then. That was really cool. I saw Radiohead recently, which was quite cool. Those tickets were like gold dust. I don't know how my friend managed to get them. It was her first time ever trying to get tickets for a show, and she texted me she got them. I was like, "How have you done that? You have crazy talent to be able to do that." I also love shows that are in the round. I saw Blood Orange at Alexandra Palace, and that was also in the round. And I just love stages that are just in the middle of the crowd. Everyone gets a great view. You don't have to be at the front to have a good view, which I just think it's a cool concept to have a stage in the middle of the floor.
Yeah, which is what Olivia did for her arena gig. So when did Olivia come into your musical scene then? When did you start to pick up on her?
The first ever song I listened to was "Fall Again" from the Growth EP. Um, I it was maybe a week after the Growth EP came out, I listened to "Fall Again," um, and I didn't realize it was gonna be a pivotal moment in my life, so I can't remember how I came across that song because it's not like a big song from the EP. It must have been on one of those Spotify made playlists for you, like a Release Radar or Discover Weekly, because it was just after it came out. But I listened to that song religiously. I was obsessed with that song for the longest time. Then I slowly started to delve into that EP. And I picked out a few of her older songs, but it wasn't until it got announced that she was playing at my university summer ball where I was reading the lineup and I saw Ella Eyre was headlining. I was like, well, I know probably a couple of Ella Eyre songs. Then I saw some of the DJs that would play at like my student union and I was like, oh, well, I know them. And then I saw Olivia Dean's name and I was like, "No way, that's she sings that song that I was obsessed with, Fall Again." I was like, that is so random that she's playing at my university." I remember talking to my friend about it, and then last summer I went to go and see Sam Fender and she was supporting, and my friend was coming with me, and we were laughing about how she was like, "I forgot she played at our summer ball, you know," and, she was like, and I remember being like, "Oh, Olivia Dean's playing." I'd have never heard of Olivia Dean, and apparently I was like to her, "Olivia Dean, you never heard of Olivia Dean? She's so good, you should listen to her," which makes sense. I probably did say something like that. But once I then saw her at my summer ball, she only obviously played a very short set,
Mm.
but I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And then from there on then, it just took over. I was just so invested. That's when I properly, from there on then, started following her.
So what year would that have been?
It was only up to 4 years now. It was June 2nd, 2022. Um,
2022. So we're pre-Messi at this point.
yeah, and she I was going to Primavera Sound a couple days after, and I remember I was gonna move out, like, at the very start of June, but I was like, "There's no way I'm not missing my summer ball." was like, "I really want to go." So thank God I went, because otherwise it might be a different story, who knows? I'm
Yeah.
sure she would have come back to me at some point, but, yeah, I'm very thankful for that decision I made. It's like, isn't it cool? Like, obviously it's not that serious, but like butterfly effect or something like
Well,
that.
no, I mean, it's incredibly cool. Seeing her at a uni ball. I mean, before we found her, I've seen old clips of her. She used to drive around in a van, didn't she, with
Yeah,
and
yeah,
play out the side of the van to small crowds and things like that with Finn
yeah.
and Dan. And
We had a few of those videos pop up on TikTok. Someone was, um, filming, there's like a couple people around. I was like, "That is so cool." And there's like, you see videos of like little kids, and I'm like, I wonder where those kids are now. They've
I
realized what
wonder
they
if I wonder if they remember that they
Yeah,
saw her at that point in time as well. Yeah, it's quite incredible. And I think the other thing that's quite incredible is the band has grown around her.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you see those older videos and you see Finn and Dan and Joel, all still together, back then, sort of learning as they go. I saw a wonderful video of them all busking in a town centre, which was really, really cool. But you look at them and you go, I wonder if they ever dreamed that they would be where they are now, which is literally, well, from Olivia's perspective, she's a global superstar. But
Yeah.
the band are still there. They haven't changed anything really, have they?
No, and I remember when I saw them live last week, I was looking at them and you could just see, them looking round at the crowd, especially during UFO when all the lights came out. And I was like, it must be so crazy to them that they decided to just play with their mate when they were younger at school together, and they probably never like knew that they would end up there and that's what they would be doing.
Keeping it real is one of the things that I really admire from what
Mm.
Olivia's doing, and I think that's a big part of it. So, how many times have you seen her live now?
Gosh, I was thinking about this the other day. It's over 10. I think when I go and see Zurich, it might be 15 maybe?
I thought I was doing well, managing to see her 4 times. So, from our perspective, we saw her at the album launch for Messi in Manchester, and she did a question and answer that night. The second time, Ollie took his mum. We could get 2 tickets to see Olivia in Leeds, a little Leeds uni, by which time she'd got the band with her. And then Ollie and myself saw her on the Art of Loving album launch, which was the Wardrobe in Leeds again, which was a question and answer thing. And then finally, we did get to co-op. We were down at the barrier, surrounded by all the diehards, and wow, the arena show just blew my mind. And you
Yeah.
mentioned having a stage in the middle in the round, and
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Olivia did that and had it was such a wonderful seeing a transition from the main stage with the full band and the brass and the lights and the video projection, going from there to just being stripped back in the round on that little white stage in a beautiful white dress, singing those 3 songs.
Yeah.
Um, it was just an incredible contrast to see her with a sea of people all around her. Well, we've just watched her journey go from strength to strength over the years, and to see her do what she does now, it just blows my mind. How did you find the arena gigs?
Well, the first night I went on my own, 'cause I was like, "I don't know how I'm gonna react." Like, 'cause yeah, I also feel like a proud stranger, I don't know, I didn't want to go with anyone selfishly, 'cause I wanted it to be for me almost, 'cause I love her music. She's one of my favorite artists. First time she's ever playing at the O2 Arena, which is crazy, and seeing her grow, and I enjoyed that. 5 minutes before she came on stage, this lovely lady did tap me and said, "Are you here on your own?" And I was like, "Yeah." I think I was playing solitaire for, like, to make the time go by faster on my phone, and I ended up standing with them, which was also really nice. That night was just amazing. I think when she started singing Lady, Lady, I had a moment where I was like, emotional, but not super emotional, but I was like, this song just must be so crazy for her to sing on a night like tonight, and like the change of her life, which feels, yeah, like overnight success, even though we know it's not. And you feel like you try and put yourself in their shoes, but you can't even fathom that. And then it was nice to go with my mum. Then when my sister enjoyed it. She didn't know all the songs. She did confess that to me before the show. She was like, "I don't know all the songs." She was like, "I'm a basic fan." I was like, "I don't care. It's fine." Um, but you're gonna leave, like, blown away. I think she's the artist where, like, I wanted to take people to show them, because you know the outcome will be at the end, like, they will be blown away. Um and then my friends loved it. We got kind of close on the final night, because I was kind of at the back for 2 of the nights, and I was seated on one of the nights, which was nice when she was on the B stage, just to see, like, the whole arena. Because when you're standing, you can't, I guess you're turned around when it's the B stage, but, like, just seeing everyone at once was just crazy.
Mm.
Um but being up close was so fun. I think that's the best place to be for an Olivia Dean show. You just feel so immersed, and, like, it's so loud that you can't hear anything else around you, and you're just so engaged. And you see her having a good time when you're up at the front, and you're like, "That's I want to have fun as well." And then you obviously do have fun.
Absolutely. All right. So we are here to talk about Messy, the album, Olivia's debut album. I think it arrived at a time when Olivia was really just starting to feel a little familiar to people. She'd done the EPs, as you mentioned earlier. She'd done the collaboration with Loyal Kana, and she'd been building
Yeah.
up those live performances. So, do you remember when you first got the album? What was happening in your life when it came out?
It was quite a monumental moment for me as well, because it was towards the end of university. It came out, like, the end of June. And I guess I was moving on thinking about post uni, not knowing what the hell I wanted to do. I studied criminology and psychology, and I didn't want to do that with my life. I realized that towards the end. So I was just trying to figure out. So I listened to it when it came out at midnight, and I remember I had work the next morning at 7 a.m. So I was like, "I need to go to sleep." And then I listened to it, and I remember the one that stuck out for me the most was Messy, obviously, considering my Instagram username. And I just remember hearing the end of Messy, and I was like, "Wow, the psychedelic sounds," it just was so encapsulating to me. And then I just remember listening to that song on repeat on the walk to work, posting it on my Instagram story, playing it all the time. And then I remember listening to Carmen as well a lot. Like, this whole thing from start to finish is just amazing. I really like albums that you listen to start to finish. Yes, I still, like, kept listening to Messy on repeat, but, I just feel like there was a moment in time in, like, the 2015s onwards where people, like, artists were focusing more on making music to be added to playlists and not for an album. So it was one of the first records I'd heard in a long time where I was like, "No, this feels like it's made to be an album and not just people to grab, like, the most popular song and add it to their playlist and then listen to that." And then, yeah, just couldn't stop listening to it, to be honest.
I think you make a really good point there, because when this came out, it really, and it probably still is at this point, that era of fast releases and viral moments and trying to get something that would play on a 2 second or 20-second TikToker or something
Yeah,
like that. Whereas I think the songs on Messy, I always talk about how the artist puts a record together and has that intentional storytelling arc
yeah,
where they really think about how the tracks flow together, how they flow into each other, and the stories that they tell. And I found when I was listening to this, so the first time I heard this, I played the violin in full was after I saw her play live. So the songs that stuck with me in that first messy album launch, when I was listening to them on the album first time round, were quite striking because I
Yeah.
thought the way that she's put this album together was so thoughtful, so
Mhm.
intelligent, and it just creates a complete record that, yes, you can listen to an individual track, but it's more satisfying when you listen to the record from start to finish.
Yeah, and, like, with, like, the interlude getting there, like, I wouldn't necessarily put that in a playlist randomly and, like, if it came on shuffle, listen to it. It has to go with the whole album, and I think the order is done really well, especially, like, U UFO is just such an opening track for an album, 'cause it's, like, just the vocals are the first thing you hear, and then the instruments come in after. All you listen to is her voice, with obviously that vocoder effect as well, it's so effective, it makes you tune in and listen, it catches your attention so well, um and yeah, you're just really present listening to what she's saying, and then the music comes in. Um, and I also like that she did put the hardest part on there. Um, I think it just belongs in the album. And I remember I saw her talking about how she listened to each song hundreds of times, like choosing how loud to make a snare, like the mix of everything. It's like you can really tell like so much went into making this.
It's such a well-crafted album. Um, Her lyrics strike me. They're very kind of conversational, but they feel really
Yeah.
honest. When you heard it the first time, were there any sort of lyrical moments that struck out to you?
I think Dangerously Easy is one where the story is just interesting, talking about someone from your past, seeing all these new things going on in their life. And then I had heard UFO um, before the album came out, but You're the Best Version That I've Seen, I think, is one of her best lyrics of all time.
Mm.
Saw a clip of her talking about how she was writing a birthday card for someone, and she wanted to say something sincere, and she was like, "You are the best version of love that I've seen." I think that's just perfect way of putting it, because you love a lot of people in your life, like, you have so many friends, family and stuff, but there are just some special people in your life where it's like, "No, you are just different type of love." Um, and then Carmen is just such an amazing song, and the dialogue at the start and the end, it blew me away when I first heard it. Yeah, it made me emotional listening to it. Obviously, I can relate in the fact that I have a nan. I mean, everyone has a grandmother, but not what Carmen went through. I can empathize with how hard that must have been. Um, And listening to that song, it always makes me emotional,
Mm.
especially live when she, like, talks about the story behind it, and then it just goes quiet, and then the first thing you hear is just her voice, Carmen's voice just loudly blasted through Now an Arena. Um, yeah, it's just amazing.
And it's such a powerful song, Carmen. But for listeners, maybe do you want to give a little bit of that backstory about her grandmother coming over from the Windrush generation?
Yeah, I guess the thing that Olivia says before the song is she came to this country when she was 18, and she had never even been on a plane before. And I was thinking on the nights I was, like, actually thinking about when I was 18, I was so immature when I was 18, I was so unserious about everything. Um, and maybe that's because I was not in a position I'm lucky, I'm very privileged, I'm not in a position where I have to be thinking about all these things, which is why I was probably so immature and unserious about everything. I was thinking, imagine 18 coming to somewhere you've never been before, not knowing people like that is just, like, so brave. But yeah, 18, she had never been on a plane before, and she came through the Windrush generation, and because of that, then she had Olivia's mum, and then Olivia's mum had Olivia, and then Olivia always says she is where she is because of her grandma Carmen coming, and how it's just a celebration of her, basically.
Mm. And it is one of the most powerful songs on this album, but certainly live when she plays it, she takes it up a notch when
Yeah.
you see Olivia play that live, and you can feel the emotion in Olivia's voice when she's singing, um, and that never fails to set me off from an emotional perspective. But Olivia's voice is incredible, right? She's got that
Mhm.
warmth. She has restraint. She has emotional control. How do you feel when you listen to Olivia sing? What from a vocal perspective?
That is one of the things I think that first draws you in. Um, it's like I love the tone of their voice. Like, another singer I love is Lizzie McAlpine. The tone of her voice is insane. Um, and I think that's similar to my mum growing up. She loved Frank Sinatra and she loves Michael Bublé, who have similar-esque tones. She always appreciates the singer's voice, I think, so I think that maybe that's where it stems from. Um, but Dan Dangerously Easy on that album, and Everybody's Crazy. I think Everybody's Crazy is the number 1, best vocals on that album, especially the live version, Hammersmith Apollo. The vocals on that song is just so amazing. Think that's also a standout track because it comes just after Messy, and it's the second last song on the album, I think, just before Carmen. It's just like a moment of quiet
Mm.
where you just sit and listen, just her and a piano, and you really listen to what she's talking about, um, and you just her voice is beautiful on that song. And then in comes Carmen, the whole, like, big finish, big celebration. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Absolutely agree with everything you've said there. We can't talk about this album without talking about Dive. That was probably my introduction, other than the Loyal Kana track, to Olivia. What are your thoughts on that?
I love the piano in Dive. I think once you've listened to a song so many times over, sometimes you find yourself when you listen to it after a while again, you hear something you listen for something you've never heard before, or something you've heard before but you've never really paid attention to, and I love the piano in Dive, especially at the end when it slows down, it's elongated, it's like chiming the melody. There's, like, chimes at the end, I think. And then at the start, it's very staccato, very bouncy. That's something I recently, like, properly listened to, which I love doing about a song that you obviously hear over and over again. Um, but it's just such a good song. I think that's probably is it her biggest song? I don't know. The
Oh,
Art of Loving definitely is overtaken, but in pre-Art of Loving, I feel like it was.
I think it probably was. It was between that and the hardest part, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's oh, yeah.
Do I remember the hardest part was there was a version with a duet?
Yeah, with, Leon Bridges.
Leon Bridges, there you go. I wouldn't have remembered the name. The next that was the track I was going to pull out next and ask you the question as to whether the duet version was preferable to the one that's on the album.
Ooh. I don't know. I think I prefer the version without him. What about you?
Yeah, well, again, the first time I heard the hardest part was Olivia acoustic with Finn. She
Yeah.
was on on the little piano. She was playing that, and I was just entranced by it. And when Ollie said, "Oh, there's another version of this that's with a duet with another singer," I just couldn't get my head round that. How on earth could a song like that, which felt so vulnerable and personal, ever have been a duet? But I mean, I enjoyed that version, but I do prefer the album version, the one with
Yeah, he,
just
like,
Olivia.
sings it in a different kind of way, doesn't he? Like, kind of there's a different melody when he sings that verse. I think the bridge is my favorite part of that song. It feels very like, "I've said all of that, now listen to me, this is what I think now, like, I'm so good without. And I liked the way that she walked through the crowd for that part of the bridge. And she's like,
Mm,
"I was only 18." And she was connecting with the fans. It felt very well, I don't know her, but it must have felt very full circle for her to, like, walk through and, like, connect with people while singing that part of one of her biggest songs.
yeah. And I think again, it's such a vulnerable song. A lot of the songs here is she's opening herself up into such a space where she's letting us in to some of the most, I guess, vulnerable parts of her life, really. And
Mm.
I know that songwriters tend to do that, but I think the way that Olivia's done it is so clever because it kind of invites you in and says, "Come, take a seat. I'm going to tell you this story," and
Yeah.
you get absorbed by it.
Yeah.
You've mentioned UFO. That is one of our favourites because that was the first song that Ollie learned of Olivia's on piano, and he did it
No,
for
that's
me as a little Christmas bonus one year. So I've got a lovely video of him playing UFO for me. But one of the biggest songs for me that I saw her play in that Manchester set um, was a song called "I Could Be a Florist,"
oh, yeah,
and
that's
I um, I often say, and especially with the new album, with The Art of Loving, there's some really big anthemic tracks on there. But Olivia, for me, shines more when she's her quietest. I often say songs in the shadows that are quietly devastating. I Could Be a Florist is so gentle, but it's such a powerful song. It sits there with the same as No Man for me, and
oh, no, no, so good, yeah.
and also the track you pulled out when you first listened to it, Messy, the title track. But I
Mm.
Could Be a Florist is still to this day one of my favorite moments is listening to her play that for the first time and just thinking, what an absolutely beautiful song. I wondered what you thought of it.
I think you're so right. When the songs are quieter, it really forces you to actually listen. Um, because obviously some songs, like, have a massive backing track, and you can love the song for how amazing, like, Ladies Room, obviously the lyrics in Ladies Room are amazing, but the live version with all the instruments, that's what blows me away. But yeah, you're so right with "I Could Be a Florist," the lyrics really makes you forces you to listen. Same with UFO, and same with, yeah, No Man is such a good song. It's so underrated. I'm waiting for it to have its moment, especially the end with the violins, the big build up where it's like
Hmm.
bum, bum, bum. Yeah, that part is so good. And yeah, Everybody's Crazy as well is a quieter song that forces you to listen to the lyrics, which is very deep. Um, must be a very personal song to talk about. Talking about, especially in the second verse, talking about someone else's struggles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. Devastating. Did you say devastatingly quiet?
Yeah.
Quietly devastating.
Quietly devastating
That's the way
is
to
the way
describe
that, yeah. The more we talk about this, Emma, Ollie, and I did a artist spotlight on Olivia Dean on the Friday Vinyl Club, and we were discussing Messy, but we were also discussing the Art of Loving and
it.
which album did we submit in, and we ended up doing the Art of Loving, but it was new, it felt more polished. Now that we've revisiting this, I actually think that Messy might actually be the better album of the two, even though the Art of Loving has got more hits, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. I think
yeah,
I think
I agree. I agree with you.
yeah, I'm changing my opinion live as we go through it.
You
Um,
had it first.
Thinking about those tracks, when are there any that when you've obviously carried this with you for the last couple of years, and
Mhm.
it's been with you in chapters of your life. Are there any tracks that have become more significant over time, or are there any tracks that you listened to first time round that maybe has a different meaning for you nowadays?
I think Probably messy. Um, when I first listened to it, like I said, I was finishing uni, had no idea what I wanted to do, and now it's been, gosh, how it's like been 3 years, and so much has changed since then, and, um, I now know an avenue I want to go down and what I want to do, and I feel so different from when I was that age. Like, I feel like leaving uni's changed me so much, and I've grown up way more. So I don't feel that my life is as messy per se, probably still messy, but, I can sing it now, and I sing along to it live, and she does a speech beforehand. She's like, "Not everything has to be perfect." I can look back and think, "Well, no, not everything is perfect now, but it's so much better than it was."
Mm,
Um, when I was sat on my bed in my room at university first listening to it, like, this song is amazing, speaks to me so much, and the sound at the end, the psychedelic sounds, used to feel so, like, not haunting in a bad way, but haunting to me in a way where it, like, made me feel so much emotion, um, and now I really liked in the live show. I don't know when this arrangement got changed, it might have happened at the Shepherd's Bush shows and I wasn't there to hear, but the horns that they added at the end of Messy, when the beat kinda drops and she starts saying, "It's a little bit messy, I'm a little bit messy," and that guy playing the trumpet, I think,
yeah.
started doing just, like, the really high pitched, um, melody, and I was like, "This feels really haunting still," but, um, in a way where I can really appreciate how
Mm,
much of my life has changed since when I first heard it.
mm. And I think there's that overarching theme of this album that it's about growing into yourself, and it's okay
Mhm.
to be messy, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. And I think, yeah, that resonates with what you just said, which I think is quite beautiful, really, Emma.
Yeah, and, like, even the album artwork,
Well,
like
that's where we're going next. We're going into
oh,
the artwork.
perfect, perfect.
Perfectly timed.
Yeah.
What do you what are your thoughts on the album artwork?
Um, I first off, I love the color purple, and I love the whole fact that that era was, like, purple, probably my favorite color, and so, not being biased, but love the backdrop. I can't remember if it was for specifically for this magazine or she had just taken photos with a photographer and they used those photos for a magazine, but she did an article, I think maybe front cover on the magazine, it's like called Puss Puss Magazine, I think, back in 2022 maybe, and the Messy album cover is in the article. And I remember reading somewhere that she had taken a different direction for the album cover, but she wasn't feeling it, and she kept going back to that photo, which is the album cover now, and she just felt like it was the perfect choice, and I feel like I love that. I love the fact that that wasn't taken in the album cover photo shoot. It was a photo that already pre-existed, and she must have felt messy, like, it encapsulated messy so much that she kept going back to it.
Mm.
Um, so the album cover is just amazing, not being
It
biased.
it radiates warmth.
Mm,
You know, so this vinyl variant that we've got, I hadn't realized that there were when I bought the album for Ollie, I hadn't realized there was two variants. So there's the black vinyl variant,
yeah.
and the one that I got Ollie is the pink vinyl, which came with
Oh,
a
I'm jealous.
yeah, it came with a little songbook, all the lyrics
Mhm.
inside. It's got this beautiful pink vinyl. This album's no good to anybody now because it's signed to Wally on the front. She
Yeah.
wrote lots of love and sunshine. Um,
Mm.
but do you think it reflects the music that's inside? Because when I see the album cover, it just looks so intimate and personal, and she's looking really content and reflective.
Yeah, she's, like, smiling and her face is, like, moving, and it's like, the album I'm gonna say now is not one of my favorite albums, but it similarly makes me think of an album that came out a couple of years ago by Beaver Doobie. This Is How Tomorrow Moves. It's very candid album cover. She's like talking in it, and I remember seeing people say like, "Why has she used a photo where like you can see her teeth and she's like making a like face where she's like talking and she looks like kind of angry?" But the whole album is about her ex relationship and how she was really done bad, like done dirty, and I think that's another thing. It's like just shows like personifies the album almost in a photo of the
Mm.
person who actually is writing it.
And I think it's interesting that, she could have picked a more polished picture. She could have
Yeah,
picked something that was more, let's say, perfect. And even when you look at the Art of Loving picture on the album,
yeah,
she's very content. She's there. She's smiling again. It's a different pose, but it's not a it's not a picture that makes her look like some catwalk model or anything like that.
no.
It's just a very real and honest photograph. And I love the fact that she went down that route because I can imagine it must be really difficult as an artist to decide how you are going to go with a direction for your artwork because
Yeah.
it's such an important feature, certainly on vinyl.
I also like album artwork that doesn't have the text on it or it's literally just the photo. I don't know, sometimes I feel like the title on the front cover just sometimes there's not a font that can capture the exact same vibe that the photo is trying to give. But Art of Loving doesn't have any text on the front as well. I really like
Yeah, no,
that.
that's a really good point, and I'd not noticed that previously. But yeah, both of her album covers are without any title or without any font on.
Yeah, it feels chic almost.
Mm,
I think a font can ruin some things sometimes, can make some things look tacky, but not meaning to.
yeah.
Um, Because I think those photos standalone are just perfect, and I think they're, like, grainy almost, and I think like, a block font would have really been distracting from the actual photos.
Yeah, and now you say that, I'm regretting the fact that I actually took the hype sticker off the cellophane outer on Messy. Um,
When did you stick it? I've seen people do
I've
that.
actually,
Yes, I love
yeah,
it.
mine's on the front of the vinyl, and it doesn't look out of place in the place that I've stuck it. But then obviously she scribbled all over my copy. Would you believe it? She scribbled all over it. Obviously, Olivia's gone on to massive things now, Emma, and she won the Grammy, she got Brit Awards coming out of her ears, she got the Mobile Awards. How have you viewed that journey to success?
I remember watching the Mercury Prize Awards in, like, 2024, I think it was, when she was nominated for Messi and she performed Carmen. I remember my friend was staying with me, and I was like, "Gosh, I'm so proud, like, she's performing at an award show." So to think that I was watching the Grammys live when Chappell Roan said her name, it was just bonkers, like, it was, like, 3 in the morning. I was so tired, but I wanted to stay up to watch it, and I don't know about you, but I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't wanna tempt fate, but I knew her name was gonna be said. Um, and I think when you saw the showcase performances of all the best new artists, hers definitely stood out. I mean, you could tell that she had to be the clear winner there, especially her rise as well compared to all the others. It felt very natural, um, and a long time coming, really. And then for the Brits, it was crazy to think that she said that she was in the crowd in 2016 because I remember watching it in 2016. So to think that I was watching and she was in the crowd that year and then didn't know 10 years later she'd be, like, my favorite artist and I'd be watching her win.
I too watched that Ivor Novello award show really proudly when she sung Carmen, and it was an amazing moment. I also knew she'd win the Grammy, and I was calling it
Yeah,
weeks
I just
before
knew,
in the
yeah.
build-up. Yeah, just
I didn't wanna be too confident, but I mean, I am just a listener, so I guess we can be. Um, we're not, like, directly telling her, "You've got this, you're gonna win it, you're gonna win it." But, yeah, I just knew. I knew that she was gonna say her name.
and our friend Rachel was at the Brits, so it
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah, she's a huge fan, and it was lovely to know that in the audience was, not just people who got tickets to go to the Brits, but somebody who was incredibly emotionally invested in Olivia. Um,
Yeah.
and then for the Mobile Awards in Manchester, Ollie got a last minute ticket
No way.
because Olivia was performing there. And obviously, for Ollie to see her win the Mobile Awards was equally just as fantastic.
Yeah,
But once she got the Grammy, I knew she was winning the Brits, and it was a clean sweep. And there was
yeah,
never a doubt that she was going to perform and win at the Mobile Awards. And I just don't think there's anything that's going to stop her now. I think she'll
no,
just continue to be an award-winning artist
I think
with
so.
whatever she does.
I think I always think, like, I wonder what she's gonna do next, but, like, I was thinking this today when I was thinking about the conversation we were gonna have. She's one of the artists where, like, there are some artists where I'm like, I can kind of guess what their next thing's gonna sound like. But with her, like, I have 0 predictions of what the next album will sound like. And yeah, I think she's just gonna go on to be huge.
I think she's taken the steps and ascended to this global superstar space with such grace and humbleness. And, we'll probably see her rise even further. But yeah, I think she can turn a hand to anything. She's got so many strings to her bow that Olivia at this point can pretty much choose exactly what she wants to do. And
Yeah,
what a position to be in,
yeah. I
after all
wouldn't
that hard work.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if people are approaching her for things, like for acting stuff. 'Cause I think she's slipped in here and there that she would like to do acting one day. I would not be surprised if people have her in mind for things.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right. We always end the Friday Vinyl Club podcast with a Friday spin, which is a recommendation that we ask you to give our listeners. It could be somebody old, it could be somebody new. What have you got for us today, Emma?
Um, I think the choice I'm gonna go with, it's new. It came out last week, I think. And it's an artist I had never heard of before until this year, and it thankfully was through my TikTok For You page, which I'm thankful for that it's showing me some cool artists. He's called Sat Samus. He's British singer, and I think his main influence has got to be George Michael. It's very 80s George Michael vocals, kind of dancey, but he just released an EP called Sycophant, which I listened to it, and I'm not really into dance music per se, but I love George Michael like my mum did. And I think About You and Nothing to Lose are standout tracks on that EP.
All right. Well, I'll give him a listen, and we will put him out on our stories when this episode comes out. Um, Emma, thank you so much for bringing Messi to Friday Vinyl Club. Did you enjoy that?
That was so fun. Like I said, I love talking about music and Olivia Dean and Messi especially.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure revisiting Messi, a record that proves vulnerability, restraint, and emotional honesty can be just as powerful as big statements. To our listeners, you'll find a few of the Messi tracks we've talked about and a few companion tracks on the Friday Vinyl Club playlist on Spotify. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow, share, or leave us a rating. It really helps more people find our small family podcast show. And if you want to contact us, you can drop me a line at Instagram at JamieB1973 or email the Friday Vinyl Club at hotmail.com. Until next time, keep your records spinning and your stories alive. This has been a Friday Vinyl Club podcast talking about Olivia Dean's Messy with Emma. Thanks, Emma. I really appreciate your time.
No, thank you so much. I had so much fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.